El Pasos message for Trump before rally: don't speak for us. The New York Times. El Paso U ahead of President Trump's scheduled rally in this West Texas city aimed at building support for his proposed wall on the border with Mexico. People from across the ideological spectrum in El Paso had a message for him on Sunday: don't speak for us. The president is just wrong about the wall and wrong about El Paso, said John Barela, a lifelong Republican and chief executive of the Borderplex Alliance, an organization promoting economic development in a cross-border industrial hub with a combined population of more than 2.7 million, taking in the cities of El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and Las Cruces. Mr. Barela disputed Mr. Trump's that border fencing had cut violent crime in El Paso, pointing to FBI data showing that the city has ranked for decades among the safest urban areas its size in the United States, long before American authorities started building some fencing along the border about a decade ago. As a fiscally conservative Republican, I just don't understand how spending $25 billion on a wall with limited effectiveness is a good idea, Mr. Barela said in an interview. Mexico is this month, we're launching a limited-run weekly newsletter about life on the border, far from the tug-of-war of Washington politics. De Margo, the Republican mayor of El Paso, voiced similar criticism of Mr. Trump's description of El Paso, in his State of the Union address, as one of the nation's most dangerous cities before the barrier went up on the border. The tension surrounding Mr. Trump's planned visit to El Paso on Monday is revealing political fissures. At the same time, Mr. Trump is scheduled to speak before about 6,000 people at the El Paso County Coliseum. Mr. O'Rourke will speak at another rally a mile away. Mr. O'Rourke in El Paso, where Hispanics account for about 80% of the population, was already hostile ground for Mr. Trump. In the 2016, still, the president shouldn't have a problem filling the venue. Some of his support, I'd like to see a wall go up along the entire border, said Joshua Asensio, 21, a cavalry scout in the United States Army who has plans to become an agent with the Border Patrol when he leaves the military. Mr. Asensio, I am a supporter of the president and I think it's important to be there for him, said Mr. Asensio. I want to hear him. Still, for many others in this city of immigrants, the mere idea of Mr. Trump coming to El Paso to promote his administration's crackdown on immigration raises hackles. The President of the United States is, disgracefully, nothing more than a racist, said Myra Cabral, 37, an immigrant who grew up across the border in Ciudad Juarez and now cleans tables at a restaurant in El Paso, where she has lived for the last 19 years after marrying an American citizen. Ms. Cabral laughed out loud when asked about Mr. Trump's claims that Hispanic immigrants bring crime to the United States. She said that I was able to do this for my daughter because I work at a job that people born in the United States won't do, Ms. Cabral said. Trump likes to call. Mr. Trump appears to have homed in on El Paso after meeting with Republican officials from Texas in January in McAllen, a city affected by a large influx of migrant families traveling through the Rio Grande Valley. At that meeting, but while El Paso has long been relatively safer than other American cities its size, the violent crime rate in the city actually climbed briefly just before and in the 2 years after authorities installed fencing on the border as part of an effort to improve border security during the administration of George W. Bush. Mr. Paxton tried to back up his assertion that a border wall in El Paso had cut crime rates by to a 131-mile fence that was completed in 2010. PolitiFact, the contested assertions of a senior state official comes at a time of ratcheting tension in Texas over the treatment of Latino voters by Republican state officials, who in January called into question the citizenship status of nearly 100,000 voters. County officials, the Mexican-American Legal Defense Fund, filed this month against Mr. Paxton, government. Greg Abbott and Governor Abbott and United States Senator Ted Cruz, the Republican who narrowly defeated Mr. O'Rourke to hold on to his seat in November, are among the Republican officials from around the state who are expected to attend the rally on Monday in support of Mr. Trump. But elsewhere along the border, there has been among state and local officials to the president's security strategies. New Mexico's governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, announced last week that she had ordered a partial withdrawal of National Guard troops from her state. New Mexico will, in Nogales, Arizona, the city council on Wednesday condemning the recent installation of new barbed wire along the existing border wall in that city, calling it an indiscriminate use of lethal force that is typically only found in a war, battlefield, or prison setting. Gaining public support for the idea of a wall at an event such as the rally in El Paso will be important for Mr. Trump, as talks for a bipartisan agreement on border security on Sunday amid lingering disagreement over how much should be spent on a border barrier. President Trump, a second government shutdown could be in the works if no agreement is reached. Bob Giles, a car dealer from Lafayette, Louisiana, who is building a new Volvo dealership in El Paso, said that he understood how Mr. Trump's proposed wall could seem like a good idea from an outside perspective. But when you spend time in El Paso and talk to people, it's clear they take offense that a wall made a difference in the city, said Mr. Giles. While Mr. Trump, that's not the word I would choose, he said. His own hope is
raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.